This is the arts edition of Beyond the Lockdown. Welcome back. Shortly, we'll go through Ghana's COVID-19 status, but first, this is a good time to ask a friend to also tune into the Joy News channel, which is thankfully free to air on all digital platforms. It's on Joy Prime, we're on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144. Also, you can watch the show live on Facebook, YouTube, and of course, myjoyonline.com. You can also listen live at the top of the hour 8 on Joy 99.7 FM, Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, and a dozen affiliates across the country. Let's now go through our COVID-19 status as a country. So our total confirmed cases now stands at 9,633. That's our total confirmed cases, 9,638. That's where we are now, 9,638. Then our situation, active cases, 5,958. We have recoveries, 3,636. Then deaths is at 44. That's where we stand with COVID-19. That's our COVID-19 situation as a country. Let's now cut to the chase. Time to introduce our distinguished guest for tonight's edition of Beyond the Lockdown. In no particular order, I introduce to you the CEO of Chacha House, Madam Theresa Ayoade. We have Priye Isokrari, is the founder and CEO of the Aristocrat Group in Nigeria. In the studios tonight with me is Sadiq Abdullahi Abu. He's the CEO of 3 Music Awards. Also joining me via Zoom is the Nyansabuakwa sensation, trending hot and fast on Twitter. Let's welcome Diana Hamilton. Moneyo, Diana. Then we know they here, cause tomorrow no they promise to nobody. It's Manifest. Welcome via Zoom. Also, the smooth soul sensation, the songbird with the latest hit track, The One. Gingams, let's welcome EFYA. Efia. Then after sipping Sobolo, we go straight to Angloga Junction and nominate with Kerry Hilson. It's Stone Boy, Melegbag. Tonight will be interesting. Then from Nobody Knows Tomorrow to Sikenti. Now, where will they go? It's Ra. Trigmatic also joins us. Then ophthalmologist and Ghana's ever-rising comedian, Obi Amponsa, also joins us. Then we welcome Mr. David Donto. He's the board chairman of the National Film Authority. This moment I've been waiting for all my life. Agro. Sadiq, what do we say? It's official. It's the night with the stars here on the Joy News channel on Beyond the Lockdown. I am MFA Pau, and let's welcome our guests together. You're all welcome to Beyond the Lockdown. How are we all doing?
Thank you. We're fine. I'm fine.
Well, manifest. You there here?
Yeah, today they are here.
Today they are here. Theresa Ayoade, I hope you're doing well. You're welcome to be on the Lockdown.
I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Nina Hamilton, Muniyo, Nyansabuakwa Nyame. Your microphone is muted, Nina. Okay, so we'll work on that.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have Obi sitting like a doctor. Welcome, Obi.
Thank you.
Priye, how are you doing tonight?
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Mr. Donto, Agro, what's the try Nigeria?
Hello. Nayin.
So we'll get straight to it's an audience-driven show. So I'll get to chip in my questions here and there, but we would have to just go straight into our audience and then start asking the questions. But Sadiq, my question is, of course, how you pulled it off, how you did it, virtual concert, award show. I should say it's never been done, has it?
Yeah,
at least in the sub-region.
Yeah, in the sub-region. I mean, we are yet to know of anyone that has been done. But it wasn't an easy decision, but we had to. We had to test our resilience during this time as an organization. And most importantly, around this time as well, you needed to nourish the brand and carry along your audience on that journey. And we didn't want to be slowed down by coronavirus, and so we had to. And so we found a way around it, and then we produced it. And also mindful of the fact that every year when we produce the awards, we produce it for a live audience, at the event also, and for television audiences. And so we picked out the television element of it, and we just amplified it, and we just broadcasted it. So that's exactly what we did. Yeah.
Okay. It's a good time to bring in Priye. Priye, we know that Nigeria has also been hit. You haven't been spared by the COVID, and of course, the industry that you're in. Aristocrat Group, you've signed some deals with the Universal Music Records in France, for instance. But how hard has the Nigerian music industry been hit by COVID-19?
As you know, like the major part of our earnings out here are from the live music. We had Easter period that used to be a very, very busy period in Nigeria for the performers and the artists and the event planners and promoters. Fortunately, that we couldn't take advantage of that season this year. So live has really slowed down. But the beauty and benefit of what is happening now. Artists are beginning to engage, being innovative and engaging with their fans via streaming platforms, YouTube Live, Instagram Live, and that at least has kept the engagement and connection with our fans. But unfortunately, revenue has taken a dip.
Well, but Manifest, you, for instance, had a scheduled tour in London, for instance. Let's talk about how you've been affected by this.
Well, I mean, like PD said, the live aspect of our business has really been impacted, which doesn't just impact the artists people know, but everybody else. That is a trickle down. It has a trickle down impact, from venues, people who own venues, event organizers, everybody. So a lot of people have been hit beyond just the artists, myself included, in terms of the live. So, but living is winning, so I'm not going to be here to make complaints. I think I have been much more concerned about, musicians who are probably just beginning and might not even have savings and things of the sort. So they are being able to subsist in this time as a Ghanaian musician that has not reached certain points in their career, I really think might be a great challenge. So as much as I can talk about being affected, I've been able to adjust.
Okay.
Work more on recording, etc. Whilst this is going on. But I feel much more empathy for I think upcoming artists here.
Now, we'll talk to you, Trig. I know that you were in mandatory quarantine, for instance. You were a judge. You're supposed to be a judge on one show in South Africa, but that has been put on hold as well. Let's talk about your mandatory quarantine experience quickly, and then how you've been also hit by this.
Yes, thank you. I mean, for us, when we got to the airport, it was something, scary and strange at the same time. And because we were told in the airplane, and straight ahead we knew that we were not going home. And we heard it was going to last for 3 days, and then we realized later that it would last even longer than 3 days. We realized we're going to be there for 14 days actually, and between these days a test will be run, and you don't know at what time. We got to the hotel, you hear sirens, you see doctors fully dressed and all geared up. It was very scary, but for some of us, we had to reinvent ourselves. Whilst I was in lockdown, I discovered a lot of things about myself. I tried to read a lot. I tried to read around, read wide. I tried to create a lot because it was the only thing I had, really. And then just when you thought you were coming home, there was another lockdown at home for 3 weeks. So then I probably stayed home for 2 or 3 months continuously. So it was really tough for me, but I had to find my way out, just like Manifest said.
But for Dinah Hamilton, it appears it's a blessing in disguise, because I've seen the number of eyeballs you have gotten, especially on YouTube, for instance. You're actually trending also on Twitter as we speak. It looks like COVID is a blessing in disguise for you. Is this the way to go virtual? You think you should be focusing on this more?
God has a way of pushing us into some directions that we never thought would go. Because as a traveling artist, I mean, this weekend I should have been. I think I should have been in Chicago.
Okay.
But I'm here, and I'm not complaining because we had a little bookings done. But it's the time at home, like Trey and Manifest are saying, it's just pushing to a place where I am reinventing. I'm doing things that I never thought I would do. Investing in some cameras, some lighting. Girlfriend has a light on top of me now that I never thought I'd buy, but I needed to do that. And I bought some recording stuff that we're using at home, and it's helping. Home videos is what's working now because we can't go out. And these things have come a long way to help. Plus, we're doing that and spending time with family. So it's become a blessing in disguise for us. And I think what I was saying, like anybody that is trying to come up now will be difficult. But if YouTube is doing well and some things are trickling in from left and right, we're not doing too bad by the grace of God.
Well, Teresa, at this time of the year, we're all hoping to get dressed and go to the Accra International Conference Center, the arena, they call it, right? For the VGMAs, the Ghana Music Awards. It didn't happen. Are there any plans to go virtual? What actually is the plan for the VGMAs?
Your speaker.
Teresa, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Well, for us, we had to. Obviously, we had just done the launch when the COVID situation arose, and so the first event we had to cancel was the Nominees Jam that was scheduled for Koforidua. And so that was the first announcement we made. And we're hoping that by the time we got to May, which was our event date, that things would have probably gotten better, because at the time Ghana's infection rate was quite low. But then as we observed the nature of the disease, we realized that we had to take a decision on how to hold the event nevertheless. But we decided to wait to see how the restrictions would go, because we really didn't want to do a fully virtual event.
Okay.
We thought that the nature of the VGMAs and the whole pomp and celebration and all of that would really be lost if we did it an entirely virtual event.
Okay.
And also we also felt that the celebration that comes with the event would be dimmed by the general mood that the whole country was kind of going to, not just the whole country, but the whole world. At the beginning stages, it was very scary, it was very uncertain, and the people were just not in the right space mentally. So we felt that didn't sit with the experience that the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards came with. So we just wanted to sit it out and wait a bit. So we are happy to see that the restrictions have been eased a bit, and so we are re-strategizing with the new numbers, the numbers limitations that the president announced. The Asata minister has just come out with thorough guidelines for the events industry, and as the event industry also, we've also met as an association to agree on that guidelines. So now we are more confident in putting together another spectacular version of the event. It may not be exactly as it's been in the past, because obviously we all know that everything happening now is going to be a downscaled version. But in terms of, and mainly because of the social distancing and the fact that we will not be able to have as many people, we'll have fewer numbers, but well spaced out. And but in terms of the production values and the content and all of that, we are pretty much excited. We want to see what we can do with digital artists that are not going to be present physically.
Okay.
And for example, we normally would have brought in some foreign artists, and even some of our own Ghanaian artists who would have been part of the event are in the US, are in the UK. I mean, like Diana. Diana would have loved to have you. Yeah. Yeah, I know you're stuck in London. So I mean, yeah, so we are quite excited to see how we can get all our artists out there to also be part of the event. I know Sarkodie is out, I know Samini is out, quite a number of you are out. So we'll play out something. We are very excited with the opportunities and the possibilities, because we know that digital is the future. So it's about time we began to always think about events as being done for both the live audience, the live auditorium audience, as well as the virtual online audience all around the world.
We'll talk about sponsorship with you and then Sadiq as well. But let me go to Obi Amponsa and then, of course, Mr. David Donto. Obi, how are you keeping in these times? I've seen you perform at the virtual 3 Music Awards. Very spectacular. How are you keeping up?
Thank you, Emma. Before then, I'd like to say I'm an optometrist, not an ophthalmologist.
Okay. Thank you.
Taking their job or something. Yeah, the year actually started well for comedians. Actually, this year really started well for us. In fact, I went to Nigeria to perform at the African Magic comedy show. They have a comedy show there. Yes, I went to perform in January. And then the shows were coming, but once the COVID-19 scare was announced, all these shows, event organizers started canceling events. So we all had to be stuck home. I would like to say that the only positive thing I have realized with this whole pandemic is that COVID-19 brought is the attention it gave to health workers, frontline health workers. In fact, never have I seen musicians come together to compose songs for health workers, like to applaud them. Usually it is Ghanaians ranting that our nurses are rude, the doctors are not attending to them and all that. But when COVID started coming, I mean, ideally at this time during this year, we should be having campaign songs for politicians. But now we have songs for frontline health workers. We are thanking them, we are praising them. And that, I appreciate that part. That is the only positive part I can see happening with this COVID-19. But with respect to my career on craft as a comedian, we realize that we are stuck indoors because basically we need live audience to survive. We feed on the laughter that the audience gives to us. You understand? So if you do not get that response from the audience, you do not feel like you are really reaching out to them. So we've resorted to Instagram live comedy sessions, YouTube live comedy sessions. And this, unfortunately, like my boss Priye was saying, does not come with revenue. The monies that YouTube gives to viewers are not much. In fact, Ghanaians don't even click on adverts to watch. So basically, we are on our own and we are stuck indoors, trying to survive with the online streams and all that. So it's taking quite a toll on us. It's taking quite a huge toll on us as comedians because what we benefit from is people's residual income. You understand? Now the economy that COVID-19 came with is really affecting people's pockets. So like people are not really ready to spend, to watch others. They are all saving in order to, they are all saving for worse days. So they don't have the income to spend on people who are not, they are not ready to laugh at your comedy in these times.
Well, tonight we'll give you an audience for them to laugh at your comedy shortly here on Beyond the Lockdown. But let's welcome our listeners on Joy 99.7 FM, because it's the top of the hour 8. So they are joining us, Joy 99.7 FM, with dozen affiliates across the country as well. Of course, also on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. We're also live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter as well. So everywhere is covered, and it's Beyond the Lockdown here on the Joy News channel. Now let's talk. We've talked about awards. We've talked about artist management. We've also talked about the artists themselves and the impacts. Also on comedy, we've talked about it. Let's talk about film now, and the board chairman of the National Film Authority, Mr. David Donto, is also with us. Of course, the audience will also join shortly with their questions. So this is just the first round, and don't worry, we'll come to you shortly. So, Mr. David Donto, film. Are we still acting? How are we premiering the new films and all the impact on the film industry as well?
Thank you. Film, as we know, actually plays to audiences. And it's unfortunate that our patrons have been starved of films for this period. I was very, very happy to see people cheering during the lockdown when old films were being screened on television. Mm-hmm. You know, film as theater is a descendant of theater, and so it plays to audiences. However, as an art form, it's always in a fixation that can be put, you know, on various media for people to see. It's unfortunate that something like a film festival is what will suffer, because that one is an emporium where all stakeholders in the industry will have to be around, interact, and do all kinds of things. However, over the years, throughout history, theater has always survived everything that has come its way. And so, as creative people, we know that film will definitely survive. We are still really strategizing to find ways of capturing our material. Once we capture it and fix it, it's easy to get our patrons, you know, to watch whatever we do. And so, for now, we will only have to maybe play back all the old movies that we have, and then as the system eases up, we can actually start recording. We can actually record. Fortunately for us, film, unlike theater that, you know, is continuous, film can always be captured in bits and then edited to get a full picture or full film to show. We will always be in a position to capture whatever we have to capture, except that we have to have people trained in various ways. For instance, writers will have to now re-strategize in how they do their screenplays so that they can be captured and then edited for the story to still, you know, come out as good as we've been doing. So for film, we know that this is just a passing wave. We will come back full swing because film has always survived, and we will survive because whatever we do is always captured and can always get across to people. Until the COVID came, film was the only art form. It's a very flexible, resourcely art form that turns itself inside out anytime, you know, for people to see. So film definitely will survive and come around. Yes, we as practitioners will have to re-strategize and see how we can capture whatever material that we have.
Okay. I'm wondering how you're going to abide by the social distancing protocols and all during filming, for instance. But I'll come to you again on that. It's a good time now to take our first batch of questions from our audience that we've received so far. You can still keep them coming in. You can leave them on live on our Facebook live, and of course on YouTube as well. We'll go to Twitter as well and take some of your questions as you watch live. But let's go to some of your questions that you've sent in.
Hello, MFA. Good evening. Good evening to your panelists. Manifest Stonebwoy. Congratulations, Stonebwoy, for your new album, Angorayajin. We keep on streaming. Please, I want you to ask your panelists, how are they making it in these difficult times? Are the streams enough to cater for them? And how much does it cost? How much benefit do they get if one person streams one song?
A very interesting question there, Sadiq. I was going to ask you how you're going to reap the benefits of what you did. How much exactly are you getting? Is it paying off this virtual thing that you did, for instance?
Well, I mean, it didn't pay off in terms of financially. And in terms of virtual shows and virtual concerts, even across the world, we're still trying to settle on a commercial model that works. You know, there's been different suggestions in terms of what commercial model will work, but it still remains to be seen what exactly has to be done, particularly in this part of the world, to be able to recoup from it. But the primary one would always be the sponsorship.
Okay.
It was unfortunate that for us at the time that we did it, a lot of the brands were a bit confused regarding what to do. Most of them too that were decisive had wheeled off their marketing and communications to their CSR arms, and so they didn't want to do that usual commercial marketing push, you know, so it was a bit difficult. No, but going forward, when things relax a bit, we're certain that a number of the brands would want to jump on and come on full scale that will be one point of it where we promise them the audience that we intend to harness. We, for instance, had a reach of about 4 million plus people, and the impressions was about 11 million. Now that's some very interesting numbers that you can promise to a particular brand. That will be one of the models that will be easier to execute. Beyond that, the other model that will be is to have a pay-per-view sort of a thing. We are not certain how it works yet, but we're still thinking around it and finding ways and means around it. But we're hopeful that, but what is instructive to note is that virtual, as much as it's become the messiah of the new normal, will still not be able to, for a long time, be, in terms of financial revenues, be the solution or the answer to life. We have to find a way to be able to move or find a way for the life to come back. For between now and when we can figure out a way out how we can really recoup from our investments, life in the ways we experienced it before COVID-19 has to come back.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm sure any of you can chip in also. The questions goes to all of you at this point. Manifest, you can come in on this because you've had to release a new song. Stonebwoy is also with us. He's also released Angloga Junction. And, you know, you are promoting the song Lebagban and, of course, Nominate. How is it paying off? Manifest has also organized a virtual show, for instance. Ideally, you would have made money out of it. Is it paying off? Maybe we should bring in Stonebwoy at this point on it.
Good evening to everyone. I hope I can be heard.
Yes, you can be heard. That's fine.
I'm somewhere on the mountains, so my network is not really strong. Literally, what you think from what I've been asked is that I have been trying to, like other musicians as well, still continue to put out our works and be relevant anyway. But for me, one of the problem has always been that our creative materials in the music, it's not paying. It's just like you're throwing your music out there every time, where the music itself is not bringing you the revenues that's supposed to bring you. The song itself, the music itself, it's been the other source in Ghana, I should say, because I think it's not like that elsewhere in other nations. As a Ghanaian and as a Ghanaian musician, my music, as when it goes out, when it breaks through and it becomes like so-called a hit, doesn't mean revenue, you know, as in that much. It can't be sustainable at all, right? So I would just equate it to zero. That has been a major problem. Else, aside that, in these times now, our songs are playing on radio. Yeah. Our songs are playing, our videos are playing on TV. People are streaming our songs. People are downloading our songs. That alone should be enough revenue for us to be able to sustain, because that is where I believe that we're supposed to get our monies from, by putting out a song. The shows and the events and the endorsements and whatnot on the side, they are on the side. I don't think that they are the main sources that we should depend on as the only source to depend on as a musician. So that is where the trouble is now, that this COVID has well exposed. It's not like it has not been a problem from yesteryears. For me, if Corona has had an effect on me, this has been my concern. And I think even after Corona, we still have that problem. If God is willing, if we don't solve that problem of having to make or earn monies from our music that we pump into the system in Ghana. Thank you.
Well, Priye, tell us the Nigerian experience. How are they reaping the benefits of these virtual shows, for instance? Is it different from what we've been told that is happening in Ghana?
Oh, it's pretty similar what's happening in Nigeria. The brands are some brands are moving towards spending money on digital activations and live events, but it hasn't fully, it's still a place where people are still they're still testing the waters. I'm sure with the successes that some of these live events have seen, over the next couple of weeks and months, the brands will probably get involved in more sponsorship of these events. To me, I think the live events are a way of kind of keeping your fan base engaged. it's not going to replace the experience of being in a room full of people and watching the artist live. That's not going to go away. This is just a temporary setback, and live is going to come back. Revenues in terms of streaming, some people are doing well, some people are not. I think it's really relative. The music across the continent of Africa, streaming isn't generating enough to sustain a lot of artists. So I in Ghana, in Nigeria, it's the same story. I think we need to understand that right now. Okay. Use this moment to be innovative and think of new ways of how we're going to generate revenues for our artists. As I said, the online will pick up eventually, live will come back, but this should be, the whole COVID saga could be a learning experience for us industry practitioners, and we need to start finding new ways to generate money for our artists and businesses.
Any new ways comes to mind, or I have to pay consultation fees?
It's being able to again monetize these live experiences online. That's one of course. In looking at how we can get cheaper data or whatever for our fans, so they can consume more music or stream more music online. I know there are a lot of people that are looking for ways to increase the streaming number. There are local platforms like Boomplay that are doing a lot of investing in the continent, trying to support the artists. And then what we're doing deals with foreign entities, so we can also increase our awareness and our presence in the European and the rest of the global market. So those are the things that we can do for now.
Okay. Well, your followers, all of you, have sent in questions. So I'll take the first batch. I think this one is for you, Manifest. Let's take it from Facebook and WhatsApp. From WhatsApp, it says, Manifest, this COVID-19 has also brought you closer to your fans. You agree? You organize B2 Challenge. You're often on Twitter now with fans. Is this going to be the new Manifest, or after Corona, we go back to the old? Manifest, your first question. And then the second one, it says, you and Stonebwoy performed at the Africa Day concert organized by Idris Elba. How was that experience? And then, okay, so we'll take these two for now. Manifest, first, will we go back to the old, ways of doing it, or this will be the new normal going forward after COVID-19?
I think if I could get a penny for every time I hear that phrase, the new normal, right now I'll be rich. What do you call it? No, I mean, look, you have to reevaluate your model as a musician now and as an artist and how you're engaging. Let me put out the lay of the land. One, streaming everywhere in the world has dropped, I think somewhere around 11%.
Yeah.
Two, it's not just artists, people's discretionary income. People's income in general in the world has fallen. People have fears, etc., all these things. And already in Africa and Ghana, we look at music and things like the arts as like, oh, it's a luxury. If you really, really have, then the extra you have, then you spend it on art and so forth and so on. So yeah, we have definitely been hit hard. So when you are hit hard like that, you have to reevaluate how you engage, because my ability to stream more, do anything depends on my ability to, I guess, engage the people who care about my music. So, but mainly I want to use the music. I don't want to do any gimmicks, but sometimes you also have to have organic and authentic interactions that really help foster that bond. As to the Africa Day concert, MTV based, I think that was a great idea. I think that was probably like one of the best virtual concerts I've seen. It was very well put together. So it was dope to be part of it, and it was quite impressive. So the new old Manifest, there's no new normal with me. Every year I'm evolving, so hey.
Well, Stonebwoy, how was your experience also, since you also mentioned us performing with Manifest on that same platform?
It was a beautiful one, you know, like Manifest said, it was one of the biggest platforms that Africa could use to, continue to create awareness and all these ones, like the news is all over. So I was glad to be a part of it, as well to add my voice to to that, especially being a Ghanaian, because most often when these things go on and Ghanaians are not involved, you know, we feel left out, but at least we got our slots there, and I think we're well represented.
Well, but Stonebwoy and Manifest, are there any undertones between the two of you? I'm told about some subtle, you know, rift between the two of you. Is it true? I'm not a showbiz person. Tell me, is it true or not? I have the two of you here.
Speaking first?
Okay, any of you can go. Stonebwoy and Manifest. I'm asking the two of you.
Yo, Stonebwoy, let's do a battle right now if they want it.
Why not? Let's do it.
You know, I think the topic for the day is not the battle. As far as I'm concerned, it comes with it. These things do happen, and it always takes, you know, we always get to understand better as time goes on. So for me, I'm not bothered. If I was really bothered, I think I met Manifest one time. You see, people actually, we have discerning listeners, and sometimes people get involved when they don't really. And what I'll say honestly is that I think Manifest just did a verse, and the verse he just did a verse. He was not involved in anything. Probably, I don't know, except he's here. He can tell me if he had details to probably fixing that verse. But after the verse he did, the masses who had details and could point things out, he knows. I read some of the comments pointed at some things that I think he would go and check later and be like, oh, well, was this one I just got involved in or something? You know, so taking it from that perspective, I didn't hold it too hard. You know, I just left it because I don't, if I had anything to do, any personal issues with Manifest, then I can accept the fact that the punchlines he dropped as a lyricist, I would take it personal. But I do not have anything personal or any qualms with him. So why would I feel anyway? Okay. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna also ask him if he probably got to get the details so that I know what you know, I know what he is on, because I'm not a beef kind of person. I will come at you and war with you. You know. My music is my music don't waste time on insulting people. We are dealing with so much troubles as a ghetto kid, so I need to put that in the song. If we have war, we draw the lines, I come to you or you come to me, you know, that's how I grow. So I don't think I have any beefs with him so far, but I think he got involved in something that he was not well aware of. I think he can make that. Yeah.
Well, over to you, Manifest.
I think Stonebwoy has said it all. There's nothing too serious. We're allowed to have disagreements. That's fine. Yeah. And also, sometimes people have things going on with other people in which, if you work with them, they'll feel a ways about it, and that's okay. That's also part of it. It's part of the game. The game is the game. But more importantly, like you said, we met. You know, and if there's really serious problems, we address it. You know, there's no serious problems. We have two songs that are released.
At all. There wasn't at all. Okay. I just feel like he's saying, sorry to interrupt, I don't think there was. If there was, as open as I am, it was not. People got even surprised because my mind wasn't even there. When they saw pictures of him and now he posted a picture and then they're like, oh, but that's all I can say. I think Manifest is bigger than that. I've been a huge fan of Manifest as well. And I see him as a brother, even aside the music. And I think once, the early times when we met up, I tried to even approach him from that brotherly, you know, besides the music. So there can never be any issue. I know how people find ways to get people involved in things that they're not supposed to get involved in, you know. So I take it easy at all. Manifest and I have no problem.
So should we see a collaboration soon?
It's coming. It's cooked already.
It's cooked there.
Songs. I think we recorded a song before he recorded the one that brought some.
Okay, so we're looking for the.
You guys want us to do another one after. When we do another one after, then you know there's really no hala.
Yeah,
and I think that one will be greater. You know, we have two songs. Trust me.
We look forward to that. Yeah. Teresa, how do you handle all this? Teresa, how do you handle all these? You have a lot on your hands. How do you handle them?
Sorry, I don't get your question. A lot of what?
Okay, so I was just asking how you handle all these artists. You know, you get to interact with them and deal with them. So just by the way, I was wondering how you handle all this.
Well, we are not really involved in music production
Of
and
course.
stuff like that. So I guess these are things that are not uncommon to the industry. I mean, and also I think the fans also like to have something to talk about. So they pick things here and there and make conversation out of it. And I think at the end of the day, it's all about how the artists decide to treat it and to handle it. And I think Manifest and Stonebwoy have shown us that they don't have anything going. It's just harmful, playful camaraderie. So I think we just leave it at that.
Well, Trigmatic will say, where will they go in all this? Is it about beefing? I've heard part of the lyrics also, and some will say you're hitting at the politicians, for instance. But is the beefing also part of the question, where will they go?
No. Mine is basically addressing, social issues and, like you said, issues like politics and things that have to do with our daily lives. So it's not like, it comes with it like everyone else is saying, but there's nothing personal. Like if I met an individual who is at a particular position to effect change, I don't think I would attack the person or anything, but I can use my music as an art form to address an issue, positively, and it works all the time, and the question again is, where are we going? With all that we're discussing, we're talking about streaming, we're talking about Africa in general, the pandemic hitting all of us. So with a song like that, it addresses everything at any time, because the big question here is, where are we moving from here to? We're talking about revenue generation. Prey said something that it's affected Nigeria as well. This means that the whole world is suffering. It manifests attested to the same thing. The festival markets is hit, the theater business is hit, labels are hitting. I'm sure a lot of employment is going to go down. People will be hit hard, so then again, where are we going from here?
Okay. Well, we have the next part of questions for Diana Hamilton at this point. I'll come back to you, Trig, and of course, Mr. David Donto, and of course, Obi Amponsa. I've not forgotten about you. But let's take the next part of questions. So this one is on WhatsApp. It says, you had your experience with Diana concert in February, just before COVID came, but I'm sure you had a few plans lined up. Tell me about them and what happens now. That's the first one for Diana. We have another one still on WhatsApp. It says, you are in the UK. I'm not so sure. Becky can provide this info. But how do you intend to keep in touch with your fans in the season? How difficult will that be? So, Dinah, over to you. These are for you.
Okay, so I must say that I was blessed to have been able to finish DH Experience just before the lockdown, because it was right after that everything just came down. So I was blessed to have been able to do that. And after that, yes, I'm in the UK at the moment, and we're releasing products out of that event, and we've been able to put them out on YouTube. And like the gentleman said, yes, revenue has come down, but for me, I like to look at the glass half full instead of half empty. So I like to look at the positive of everything. I have been privileged enough to be able to register my works with foreign registering bodies, PRS and that kind of thing. That one works for us. So even though we're not getting things out of Ghana, they're trickling in from different sides. So I think this is what the bodies in Ghana need to look into, how we can be able to generate income from our works in Ghana. But if you're privileged enough to have been registered with other bodies, then it comes in handy and you begin to get some sort of income coming in. All my other live events have had to be cancelled or rescheduled. But we're here and we're making good use of the time, like I said, half full rather than half empty. I must say that I have actually had the chance to get close. This is answering the second question. I've actually had the chance to get close to my fans in ways I never thought I would. I think the only time I got to get in touch with people was when I went for events and security was tight. So it was only when you were on stage you got to have eye contact with people. But thanks to everything that's going on, I now have a WhatsApp group. I have people getting in touch. I have enough time to sit and chat. I must say that I think I'm much closer to my fans, to the people I call DH family, Team DH. I've been able to get closer to them more than I used to be. Now I get to speak to people who are regular commenters, regular people who comment on my posts and stuff like that. And because we have already worked, we have products that we've been releasing at this time. Like I said, I've only just released Nyansabwa Nyame. And in these times when viewings, like you said, have gone down, clicks per mil have gone down, but it's not as bad as it sounds or it was supposed to have been. So yes, we're close to our fans. We would have loved. I have to tell you, nothing can substitute the feeling, the atmosphere, that feeling you get when you're on stage and everybody is around and the response is there. You can't substitute that for anything, but we're making do, and then we're looking at the glass, how full and empty.
Well, for you, Trig, you are embarking on a campaign, for instance, to change industry. I mean, the showbiz industry, the Ghana showbiz industry. How is the scope and where are we with that? Has it come to a halt? What exactly are you doing with that?
Yes, thank you for that question. Actually, let me say that it's not a pragmatic thing. It's an alliance. You know, it's a combination of all industry players, i.e., musicians, artists, managers, producers, bloggers, media men and women. So it's all of us. All we're saying is that, I mean, let's use this topic for example. If the systems were working, and I'm happy Dinah mentioned PRS. In the UK, there's PRS and there's PPL, where one is taking performance royalties and the other is taking the mechanical royalties. And this is what we are advocating for. Currently, we have a petition which we are circulating for all industry players to sign. And then next week, hopefully, we're doing a presentation to GAMRO, which is who has the sole mandate to collect royalties. And then we have a sit down with them. That's the first phase, and then we move on to the second phase, which I'm sure we will communicate for everyone to know. But all we're saying is that let's put systems in place so that in times like this, Stonebwoy said something very beautiful. He said COVID has showed all of the flaws and the dents we've covered with the fine paintings. What it is that the systems are not working because. And this is the time where everybody's listening to radio. This is the time where everybody's watching TV. This is the time where everybody is online as well. So if publishers were if the royalty collection system were digitized enough, you could be home and still making a lot of money. It will also inform labels to be able to plan their promotional strategies and where not to put in their money. But this is the case where it's not, and data is a problem. Collecting the data is a problem. So you're just throwing in your money for promoting, you're shooting a video, you're hoping that it's being showed, but then, I mean, someone has to assume or just guess what should be paid you. So that's what the problem is. And the streaming, we understand that we need to reinvent the wheel. We need to check out the online streamings and all of that. It's working and people are making money out of it. But like Priya said, worldwide streamings have dropped. I mean, Deezer just hit a big blow as low as 0.00423, which is like really, really low. That means artists wouldn't be paid, artists on Deezer wouldn't be paid much as they should have. So these are things we're pushing for. We just want a dialogue with all industry players to be able to bring out the right solutions. Like somebody asked a question which I'd attempt to answer. If you look at the streaming numbers, currently Spotify is paying 0.0032 per stream. YouTube is paying $18 per 1,000 view. So it's ideally it's good, but it's not much. You can't live on that forever. And when you become an artist, your lifestyle changes. Things you have to do will change. The people that you feed will multiply. So all these things, the only luck we have in there is that in Ghana we have a lot of indie labels which are owned by the artists themselves. So most of them haven't sold their work out, so they're able to sort of manage and collect the money, and it turns out to be a little bit good for them, but it's not the best.
Well, I think I have the next batch of questions from Mr. David Donto. If it's ready, we'll go to it shortly. Okay, it appears it's not ready, but I'm interested in finding out how our actors and actresses, those in that part of the industry, are faring in terms of reaping the benefits of their work, for instance. How are they coping in terms of making revenue at this time?
For now, is a bit difficult because streaming and getting screen time on Netflix and Amazon and all those things are new to our artists and, of course, some of our producers. So these are things that we're trying to work on through workshops and other things to get people to come to understand that these new times that you cannot screen film in theaters. You have to show them either on television or on the net. You need to know the mechanisms that you can use to do that. Because even though film is a collective art, we can always capture it because we always will find a way of doing it in bits and pieces and put it together for people to see. Some of our people are currently now relying on a few screenings that they get through, streaming online, and also showing on some TV stations and things like that. We have not been able to put a finger on how much people make from some of these things, but you and I know that in Ghana, a lot of films that are screened on television ends virtually next to nothing. So it's like screening or showing films in theaters and things that were giving the money, and also selling their DVDs. But these days, what is DVDs and what are pen drives? A lot of people tend to pirate some of these things when we put it out there. And it's because they do not know the mechanisms of doing these things. That is why we face these problems. But we are finding ways of actually getting around these things, especially if we will not film. Now, no film, we have feature documentaries and we have documentaries that you can do narrations on it, you can do dubbing on it, you can do subtitling on it, and all those things that we can actually use also to make money. But until we get there, because for now, Ghanaians have actually been our industry has not been the type that is so given to feature documentaries and documentaries. But we will get there. I believe now that we know that we can still even make some money from shooting documentaries and feature documentaries, we will always be able to do it. Especially given the fact that the industry itself, by its nature and by the way of it captures its material, observes in principle the social distancing. We are always hopeful that in a very short while we'll bounce back and be able to now start making money doing some of these things.
Well, Obi, you talked about how the year started very well for you until COVID hit and all. You're not getting a lot of live shows. You're not getting live shows at all. For instance, I know you've resorted to short skits of a sort on Instagram and on other social media platforms. Is it paying off? How are you coping? That's for you, Obi. It appears. Okay, so it appears we don't have Obi at this point. We'll check his connection at this point. So I think Obi is back with us. Obi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I was asking about how the year started well for you until COVID hit, and then you've resorted to some short skits, for instance, on social media. Is it paying off? How are you coping?
No, it's not paying. It's not paying. Short skits, short videos on social media are just for entertainment. To entertain depressed Ghanaians who are indoors because they are locked down or because corona and social distancing, they cannot go out to work. So basically, they just, what you reap from these online states are likes and reactions, and then follow backs, and maybe it builds your fan base, but that is where it ends, ideally for every comedian. In fact, for comedy in Ghana, it's taking a while for our comedy to catch up with Ghanaian audience. And just when we're catching up with them, just when we had them patronizing most of our shows, we had COVID come. Because ideally, almost always, Ghanaian comedians, if you see them posting a show, it is from their own pockets.
Okay.
Unless they have been billed by an event company like maybe Charterhouse bills you, then you go perform. That is different. But when you see us hosting our shows, it's basically from our own pockets. So, and any money we get, we rather invest in ourselves to be better. So basically, all our investments are in us. We do not have the push. We don't have like the brand who would like hold you and say, oh, I'm going to help Ghanaian comedians tour Ghana. We're not. So basically, we are just stuck in Accra and Kumasi. If it's not Accra, it's Kumasi. If we had the weight, if we had the push from government, from brands, then we wouldn't be here complaining now. Because when you are not reaping from the live audience money, then at least the brand will be giving you something to sort yourself for a while. So that is our problem now. We have issues with support, and that has really been unveiled in this pandemic era for everybody to see that basically we are just doing stuff on our own, and then when push comes to show, we are found wanting. Yeah.
Hold on, I think there's one more question for you from our audience as well. Let's take it at this point. So it's a WhatsApp question. It says musicians are trying to organize virtual concerts, and I'm wondering whether comedians can do same without your audience. Is it possible to pull a virtual concert through? And I'm sure you had a few shows before COVID arrived. What has happened to all those plans? And one final one, how are you surviving when that income isn't coming? So 3 questions in one for you. I think you touched on the very final one, but are you considering a virtual concert, for instance, is the first question?
A virtual concert, if the government would spare some of their money they are sharing to, I hear there are some money going out to the small industries and then SMEs and all that. If they could spare us some, we would love to organize a virtual. We don't mind. In fact, once a comedian knows his jokes are funny, though it will be tough not performing to a live audience, he knows that the jokes would hit home, even when he tells it to a camera without a live audience. So if we get that push, if we get that support, apart from that, we are doing that on our own. We have various kits that we have done. We have excerpts that we post of our previous performances on YouTube. So like I had 2 shows. I had a one-man show in December, then I did another one in January, and I have an hour long for the December and then an hour long for January. So what we basically do is that we cut parts of them and then post on social media. But if people are ready for a virtual show, we can give them that. I do not know how we are going to benefit from money-wise from that part, though. Unless we get that push that I keep saying. Unless we get that push, we are not going to benefit from that virtual show. Though it will get you the likes and then the follows, but it wouldn't reflect in your pockets.
Well, by the way, are you a small company?
Yeah.
You are? It's a small industry. Well, we are told that there's some $9 million that has been announced by the tourism minister. I don't know when that disbursement will start, but this week it was announced for those hardest hit. I don't know how you're going to define that. Sadiq, are you hardest hit by it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, for us, in first quarter, we're supposed to have had about 4 shows relative to the 3 Music Awards. Which all of that had been wrapped up. We're supposed to have done the Fun Festival. Well, we did the women's branch and the main event, So, I mean, we've been hardest hit. I mean, we've been investing from, our process actually starts from 10 months before the main event.
Okay.
So 10 months before Three Music Awards itself, a lot of work had gone in. We did the board review in Akosombo, coming down to all the board sessions, the nominees announcement. All of these things takes money, and all of that was done in consideration of the fact that we're going to earn some money from either sponsorship or gate proceeds. And so if the main event couldn't come off in the ways it was supposed to, that was a hit, you know. So I mean, in that instance, yes.
But I'm wondering how the industry is going to share that amount of money, because this is not the first time some form of money has been allocated to the industry and it turned out into something else. So these are the fine details that we'll have to go into. But let's find out if the Nigerian government has any package like this also for the industry. Priya, is there anything like that in Nigeria?
Not specifically for the creative industry. I know there's some movement to support by the government, but nothing of that nature has been announced yet.
Oh, okay. So then Ghana leading the way once again. But we are wondering when the monies will hit their accounts, though.
Yeah. I'd like to say something here.
Yes. Please come in, Teresa. I was coming to you, though. Please come in.
Yeah. I'm very happy to hear the announcement from the minister. As a matter of fact, we've been lobbying the ministry a lot. We've been working closely with her. We have an association, the Events and Meetings Professionals Association of Ghana, called MPAG, and which I'm the president of.
Okay.
And we've been lobbying for assistance, because you can imagine that, I mean, the entire event industry is shut down. I mean, right from when lockdown, even before lockdown started, as soon as the ban on public gathering was announced, our entire industry just shut down. So I think this was like 13th of March, and we haven't worked since then. And this is a huge industry. I can tell you that we got KPMG to come to do an impact analysis survey on our industry, and of the top 20 companies that were interviewed, we already recorded a total of more than 100 million plus loss of revenue just over the first 6 months of the year. And so you can imagine if all of this continues right to the end of the year. And amongst the top 20 companies that were interviewed, a total of 4,000 jobs were going to be lost. You know, and that's a huge impact, because event companies actually provide the platforms that hire the entire a large number of the event industry. I mean, if you're organizing the conference, an opening ceremony, an award ceremony, even corporate launch events. I mean, artists perform, brand experiential activations, brand tours, conference openings. We talk about award ceremonies, banquets. Companies have lots of banquets throughout the year, and we have bands, we have poets, we have comedians as MCs. I mean, talk about ushers, hostesses, security men, caterers, waiters. The whole value chain of the industry has just been crippled.
That's why I was told.
So the impact is really huge. So we definitely need that support, and I'm very happy to hear this announcement. And so I'm sure we will be pursuing it.
But did that work that you did with KPMG also talk about the recovery, how the industry can recover after or post-COVID?
Well, the options have been mainly just two. We need to be able to explore providing digital experiences as well. But digital experiences, again, as has already been discussed, can either be brand-led, which is being done on behalf of the company, or and which they are paying for, or audience-led, and then that would have to be probably a subscription model, which we are still figuring out how to achieve that. For example, the Ghana Music Awards would happen this year, but as you all know, I mean, it thrives on a large live audience of about 3,000 to 4,000 people. All of that, I mean, more than 1/3 of that, I'm sure, will be missing at this year's event. And so how do we make up for that lost revenue? even though you're going to stream it on social media and on the internet, how do you monetize that to make up for your physical losses? And all the other areas that we're going to. I mean, Obi is talking about comedy. We have 2 huge comedy shows that happen every year. One is supposed to be happening in July, The Night with 1,000 Laughs. The other one is supposed to be happening in December. We haven't even wrapped our minds around what's going to happen with those, because I mean, it's just unimaginable right now. So it's been very challenging, really challenging for the events industry. And we are hoping we can come out of it. I mean, at least the government restrictions have encouraged us a bit. The ease of the restrictions have encouraged us to start thinking about how we can start opening up bit by bit.
Okay.
But the fear is that our fear is that things don't escalate, and I believe that if we are all responsible and we all do the right thing in terms of following observing the COVID protocols, the safety protocols, then we could control the spread of the disease, and life could quickly get back to normal. But if we are careless and we don't follow the procedures and things escalate, I think that things may get worse in terms of the government may tighten restrictions again. So I'm really using this opportunity and calling on musicians and our creative personalities here to please join in the communication, lend your voices to the encouragement of the COVID safety procedures, encouraging adherence to the COVID safety procedures, because we really need to work together to get rid of this virus so that life can come back to normal quickly. Because we can try all the digital options, as you've all have said, they're not really yielding the kind of income that we need to sustain us. I mean, I cannot imagine us surviving entirely on digital. We need to have the live. We need to have the live events come back as soon as possible. So we need to really work together as a collective to drive the message of compliance down so that people do the right thing. The fact that, I mean, government has eased restrictions doesn't mean that we are...
Oh, no.
So bring caution to the wind, and COVID-19 is over. It's not over. We need to...
Okay, Teresa, whilst we try to reconnect to you to get a stable connection, I was going to stay with you on the VGMAs and whether you are considering bringing back Shatta Wale and Stonebwoy. Are you hoping to admit them back, considering the new changes that COVID has brought on?
We haven't had an internal conversation around that yet. We haven't had a conversation around that yet.
Interesting. When
we're ready to make full announcements on VGMA, I think we'll come out with a full statement on everything.
It hasn't come up at all.
And no, we haven't. I mean, we haven't really come up with any clear direction in terms of that. Whether anything has changed from the last position, we haven't had any conversation around that. What we'll be focusing on is how soon we can get the event back on the road, and hopefully with the easing of the restrictions, we are looking at coming back and holding the events in August. So there's going to be a build up towards that, and when we are ready with all the arrangements and the fine details, we'll make an announcement.
Well, thankfully we have Stonebwoy also on the same platform. Stonebwoy, are you looking forward to being admitted back into the VGMAs? We are told it's coming back in August. You have anything to say to Teresa?
Am I supposed to talk now?
Yes, you are.
Oh, okay. I mean, Honorable Mrs. Teresa, they spoke about it right now. She said in August, when they have wrapped their heads around everything, truly, Ghana would hear their verdict. It's not for me to say whether I would want to or not. What I'm sure about is that it is an award scheme that is supposed to serve Ghanaians and Ghana music, and they own it. I am but just a musician who is a creative, and that matters to me most, because in the end, I believe that awards are supposed to, come and then enhance, add value to our creativity, but it doesn't. I am one person who believes that awards do not control my creativity, or I don't create for the sake of awards. I just create for the sake of the people, my passion, and the business behind it. And as I speak now on this VGMA matter, I think our Honorable Mrs. knows the status of the issue right now as we speak, owing to the fact that it has gone into the hands of, it has left their premises, if I can say so. They have pushed it on beyond, from their premises into the hands of the state. And as a musician and a creative, my legal team and myself are dealing with such issues. And I think we have an next court date to deal with. And I think that if there's anything I should be thinking about, my team and I are thinking about how to take it from that level, and then we'll see what next, you know.
But has the ban, for instance, affected your connect or your relationship, for instance, with music awards in Ghana? I know you have a good relationship with 3 music awards, for instance.
You see, honestly speaking, I think that the ban, a ban from any award scheme can only affect the artists if they do music to suit such awards, you know. And so I will be blatant over here. It hasn't affected me in any way. I think that some artists came out to even say it's a blessing in disguise for them that some of us are not on the awards with them, because that's the only way they can prosper, you know, in the awards. And you know, it's a blessing to somebody. So it gives me joy to still be a blessing to people in a case that is supposed to keep me down. But God knows I've still had a beautiful year, and I know that Mrs. Theresa and her whole team and family are still huge supporters of my music, even behind the scene and my career, because nonetheless, I'm one person who still pays respect to her, apart from one thing that I disagreed with her about, because I saw the video and I saw the passion with which a mother spoke about how derogative or how the whole thing, they affect them. You see, so I saw that pain, and she spoke with pain, I'll admit. But also, speaking with pain will still have a repercussion, and what she was asking was for the media to cut us off, which I know that, I'm not trying to put words in her mouth. I am understanding that, okay, she must have said it out of pain, but I know she doesn't mean that. So that was one of the things I addressed, and I was saying that I was disappointed because I've had back and forth throughout the whole issue. I've never raised the word or spoken anything that would be disrespectful to a big sister or an auntie like her. That I would never do. And even when I addressed it, I think I placed it in a very nice context where I was also expressing, just like the way she was expressing her frustrations out of whatever has happened. But to be very serious, I think that in the end, she knows better what she's doing, and I'm still believing that her intention for the whole music industry is pure, and I'll leave it there. You know what I mean?
I was curious to know whether you're looking forward to going back to it, but I don't know if that's a direct question you're going to answer, though. Will you give me that?
I should tell you, if it's not like she's taking me out of music. She hasn't taken my career out of my mouth for me to go back to. I've always had my career, I'll forever have my career. It depends on me. It doesn't depend on her. It doesn't depend on an award scheme. I'm telling every artist to halt any artist's career. An award scheme is supposed to do what they have to do, but banning me from the award, if I allow the ban to have a toll on me and I take myself out of my career, I don't have the awards to blame.
Okay.
I have myself to blame. So to me, it's not about going in an award scheme or out of an award scheme. No. It depends on the award scheme to know if they want to get me on or not, like we have always worked. Then we can decide from the development that has been. We will see how it is. But first and foremost, the case is still in court. So how can we be answering for joining or not? I can't answer, and I think she would come with, I think she would be able to answer in August, and we'll take it from there.
Well, we look forward to that. That's Stonebwoy on this issue about being readmitted into the VGMAs as it comes back in August. But let's do some questions as well from our audience that have come in. So what's up question? Most of the artists for some time now have been talking about royalties and lack of infrastructure in the showbiz industry. Can this be resolved? Is a big question. And my greetings to all your guests. I will want to find out from David Donto what measures they have put in place to keep the movie industry going since it seems like it's dead. And then this one says, the minister made it known that COVID-19 is here to stay with us. So our actors, are they ready to take risk of going to set to act even romantic scenes when precautions are taken? If yes, how will it be made possible? Samuel is asking. So interesting batch of questions. The issues about royalties in Ghana. I think I'll give the first take on this matter to Manifest. Sadiq, I'll come to you shortly on that. I know you've been nodding since that question came. Manifest, the issue about royalties. We never finished talking about this matter. It's a question that has just come in. You have a take on that?
Yeah, but before I speak, I think Uncle David Donto is trying to get the word in.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so as I was saying, because the complexion of filmmaking is going to change, it will affect the stories that will churn out, very mean cast, very intricate plotting, a whole lot of things that will make the capturing of the material into the film a lot more cleaner, smaller cast, more attractive, such that, even though it will not be epic with large cast and all of that, it will still be attractive enough to get people to want to watch. And that is actually what we're focusing on. Except that because the industry doesn't have a lot of the facilities and the infrastructure that it lives on, we are still working towards getting all those things in place. And whilst we're doing that, it's very important for us to make a way and find a way around the situation as at now. But our industry has suffered for so many years, and it's only by God's grace that we still are around and are surviving. But we will actually plod on and make sure that we make the impact that we need to make.
So they're asking about how you're going to act romantic scenes in these times.
Yeah, I'm interested in that question. How are you going to...
Why are you interested in that question, Obi? Why? Obi, why are you interested?
Whether you're going to kiss with nose mask on or I don't know, like this. I really want to understand. Really.
Uncle David, you have a response to that?
Yeah, You mean acting with nose masks on?
No, how are we going to act romantic scenes? Romantic scenes.
In bits. So we can always shoot without the masks because the masks, it's when you are within less than a meter range of a person that it's very important for you to have the mask on. But we can actually shoot the entire story, in bits and pieces, such that actors will know, because that facial expression is a very, very key element of acting. And if someone is acting and they can't see the face, they can't see any expression in the face, it takes a lot out of the acting. And so we will find a way of doing it. And that's why I'm saying that we will have to have a mean cast and a very intricate story, line with very tight, plotting and conflicts and all those things. Using very few casts, just so that you can get serious, dramatic stories that are attractive enough to get people to really sit and watch. We have films that are made with cast of 4, cast of 6, cast of 10, max. So these are things that we creatively can always go around and do. We will definitely find a way around it.
Obi, is your question answered? But the issue about the romantic scenes, part, the kisses part, it hasn't been answered.
Oh yeah, there is always a way around it. You see, a lot of things that we see in film involves cheating. We have digital input devices, we have computer-generated images that we use in film. So there are some of the things that you see in film that you think are real, but they are actually, faked, because we know that there is the support of machine, there's the support of computer imaging that will help us achieve some of those things. Even, stuntmen, we can actually, do an image change by putting the face of an actor on the face of a stuntman, so that they can actually capture the image you want. So filming is, finest images, limitless medium. You can actually do everything, anything. We are the only people who can go back and forth in time and do everything, even play God. So for film, we still have, what it takes to come around the problem.
Hopefully it will still feel normal. I see Obi with the look on the face. Let's hope it will still feel normal. But let's talk about royalties now quickly. At this point, our audience on Joy 99.7 FM will have to leave us. It's time for a walk with Jesus on a Sunday evening. But we're still live on Facebook, live on YouTube, of course, myjoyonline.com, Joy News Channel, Joy Prime, all affiliates across the country. So let's talk about royalties quickly. Then we can wrap up on this. I would have all of you speak about this. So Manifest, I was on you. You are a true born and bred Ewe boy. Will always give the opportunity to his elders. That's what we were taught. So Manifest, let's go with you.
Well, this is a can of worms you are opening at the end of the program.
You quite the whole show.
I'll save the best for the last.
Every time I speak on this, I'm beginning to sound like a broken record because.
That's right.
And I want to shift how I answer this question now, because the first thing is I want journalists and other people who involve themselves in this conversation to educate themselves. There has to be a demystification of what we are talking about when I talk about royalties. And I mean, for the audience out there, really what we mean is that if you play my song on radio, on TV, in a bar, in a club, if it's used anywhere, I should be able to get funds from it.
Yeah.
And it needs to be tracked, there needs to be a body to do that, etc. That is what it really means. I've had certain discussions even online with people I thought would know certain things, but they don't know. So I think that's the first thing I want to say. Obviously, we have a broken system. It's not working yet. It's absolutely not working. It's broken. I'm registered with ASCAP in America, but they collect money from me everywhere. Diana Hamilton mentioned PRS. That's who she was with. Somebody told me that I'm not registered with GAMRO, so why do I expect money? Which is nonsense. It's rubbish. That's not how it works. You have to. A functioning system will be able to collect with you regardless of what agency you're with. That's another story. All that to say, I think there needs to be a demystification. I think anybody who's working on this, number one, needs to know what it's about. We are part of a global ecosystem of the music business. You can study and you can find out how these things work before. We just do a lot of talking about this thing, and I'm getting tired, to be honest. I'm super tired of this royalties conversation. It was there before me, it's been there as I'm here, and it will be there after me. So my contribution now is the education bit. Now, the next thing I'll say, because I know everybody has something to say about this, is that I think any government that wants to leave a lasting creative legacy will fix the system.
That's right.
You understand? Because it will have such an impact on the livelihoods of many people for a long time. I mean, and in some other African countries, in South Africa, it works. It might not be perfect, but we have to really, it has to be enforced. There has to be infrastructure. This is something which I think, infrastructure has to be built to make it work, whether it's how the data collection system, etc. Because right now, how even money is paid is arbitrary. Yeah. There will be a list and it'll be like, you come and get 2,000 Ghana based on what? So it's very frustrating because when I get asked this question, I answer it and I'm told that, it's because I haven't done A, B, and C. And I realize everybody talking about that doesn't really know what they're talking about. So, it needs to be fixed. I don't even know that the film people get royalties when they're. So I'm curious about that. If David Dotto could tell us if they start showing his movies from long ago now, does he get any money? So anyway, we have a broken system. That's what I guess.
Priya, is the system as broken as it is in Ghana, like it is in Nigeria? Priya?
You're on mute.
No system is perfect anywhere on the African continent, in my opinion. There are issues in Nigeria, there are issues in Ghana. Even in South Africa, they have a good working system, but it's not perfect. I think overall, both the private and public sector, government and the entrepreneurs in the market need to come together to make the right investments, make the right, put the right leaders in the right positions, either in the collection societies or the label associations or whatever body that you have in your country. So I think it's just a very solid, strong need for private and public intervention, private investors coming in and making the right investments into the industry. I think sometimes investors are yet to see the music business as a viable business because of the lack of structures, but we need to invest in those structures to make the business viable. Same thing with the government. So it's not just a government issue, it's also a private sector issue, but both parties coming together to find lasting solutions is what the continent needs.
Well, to you, Trig, is it part of the campaign also when it comes to this? Is royalties also part of the campaign?
In fact, it's everything about it. That's one of the main things, because it forms the foundation of the music industry. I mean, it's like my salary. I'm very happy about how Manifest spoke passionately about it, because I mean, I wish I share the same sentiments. I mean, it's like working and not being able to take your salary. I mean, I'm with Samuel. I'm with Samuel as well. And like Prey is saying, even though there are challenges, it's not as bad as it is here. I mean, Charlie, if the systems are not working, if it was working, half of this conversation we're having, we will not have it. We're having it because we all know, and I think it all starts with problem identification. Most of us are trying to act like, and most who are industry players are act like there isn't a problem, but there is a problem. And once we've identified the problem, we go to how to fix it. And we can fix it. To answer the question that you asked, we can fix it. I agree that the private sector and the government must come together. I agree that yes, for private sector to come in, they must be well informed. They must also be sure that the environment in which they want to operate is thriving and is safe enough to operate, because of course, if they're coming in with investment. And investment, it doesn't care, it doesn't matter the talents that you have within it. What it is that if the environment is unsafe for your business, you are not going to make that money back. Manifest did mention that yes, somebody would have to guess how much you would have to take after your song has been played. And when we talk about royalties, people make it seem as if we don't know what we are talking about, as if royalties is we're just talking about traditional media. But it goes along with the new media, which is the streaming sites and all of that. And it also extends to synchronization, licensing royalties, and stuff like that. People are using people's songs in movies and documentaries. Are they getting paid for it? Because that can open a new avenue for musicians as well. People are using people's songs for commercials. Are they getting paid for it? It goes beyond just even the radio and then the TV. There was a TV show on TV for a long time where musicians even paid for their music to be played whilst they had commercials running simultaneously together with the music video. Okay. They were expected to be paid for it. But I mean, so we can fix it. But when we talk about it, we try to downplay it. We try to make the artists look dumb. We try to make it look like, oh, they don't know what they are talking about. People make statements like, there's no artist that can run things like the business side of things. But hey, the vice president of SAISAC, which is one of the biggest CMOs, is Angelique Kidjo. And she is an artist, and she's been there since 2013. So it's not really about that. It's about who has the leadership skills. It's about your know-how. It's about what you're reading, how informed you are, and how passionate you are about the job. I mean, hey, if we're getting the right royalties to be paid, artists should be able to be comfortable enough. And I'm talking both royalties, both streaming and traditional media.
I can sense the passion in there on this matter. Dinah, how discouraging is it?
Okay, I'm glad you posed that to me, because the gentleman just spoke about corporate and basically governments and people, companies that are supposed to be working together to let it work. I also want to come from an angle of even individuals and how they are supporting or discouraging the work that we do. If you take notice of something, quite recently, YouTube views have come down a lot. I don't know about the other gentlemen and everyone here, but YouTube views have dropped. Why is that? Because people are now having apps that they can download these videos onto their phone. So the moment you release, they go on there once, download it, and then they don't go there again. And so nobody goes there to watch it, and these bring down the views. You can have one person decide to open a website and put everybody's song there and start selling. I've just recently heard of a guy called Telegram something who is selling every gospel musician's song on a website. They are trying in Ghana to find who it is, and this person seems to be a ghost. You could be driving at Jonglu, Fiesta Royal, and a gentleman will walk up to you with CDs and tell you, Madam, no CDs, I have 551s, no dynamics, and you're in the car, and he doesn't know your dynamics, so he's coming to sell you a dynamics CD. And I have learned to sell 551s at the celestial. It's so disheartening. It hurts that you work so hard and somebody is trying to read where they've not sown. So these things are not helping. I think we need to work as a nation. And so if you haven't registered anywhere and you're depending solely on Ghana, you begin to wonder where you're going to get. You keep putting in and you be getting nothing back. So the individuals who are downloading these videos from different places, downloading from sites that are not registered, people who are opening these sites, diverting traffic. I've recently released a video, a song, and somebody has put the full video. It was meant for YouTube, iTunes, and the rest. Somebody has downloaded the whole thing and put it on Facebook and directing all the views to that person's page. It's not fair, and it doesn't help at all. And so I think it's very important that we work on ourselves as individuals as well and begin to work towards a goal. You know, if we want to build the industry up, then what Manifest and Tradematic have said is very important. Government organizations, royalties need to be paid. But we as individuals need to also think about the fact that if you want to keep hearing good songs, if you want to keep watching good movies, if you want to have great shows, then don't go to these events that take Theresa, for instance, host an event, and somebody comes and puts a phone up and videos the whole event and puts it out on YouTube before she's finished editing it. By the time she's edited the event, somebody has put it out and monetized it. And so, and you didn't pay for lighting. Whoever put it there didn't pay for lighting, didn't pay for sound, didn't pay for anything, but they come in there, use their phone, video it, put it on YouTube, monetize it, and by the time you're ready with a well-edited event to put out,
I've watched it already.
The whole nation has watched it already. And so these are things we need to handle. And I think if we all come together and let it work, then we're on our way to something good.
Well, Sadiq, you've been nodding. Well, you've been nodding, but you nodded the hardest when the issue about royalties came up. It was a discussion also on Showbiz A to Z yesterday on Joy FM. Your take?
Well, so I mean, fundamentally, I agree with all of them, and I mean, I also agree with the fact that it can be fixed. I mean, I've seen the work that has been done by Tradematic and the group, for instance, which is commendable, and the fact that they're actually even having to sit down or have an engagement with Gamro is also a good one. I also share in Manifest's spin, for instance, that I mean, even though the law currently as it is that he has to be a member, it doesn't have to be the case. I mean, he has to, the law on IP and copyright is so global in nature to the point that as a member of ASCAP or PRS, if there's an international reciprocal agreement, for instance, between Gamro here and this organization, he should be able to get his royalties, you know. So I like the zeal, I like the passion with which we're all going about it. For me, I've also made the point that because royalties also depend heavily on other levers of industry, I made a point that whilst we're campaigning and making the moves for it, we should be able to advance that as well. You know, Teresa mentioned something that's very important, the fact that the entertainment, the media, the event industry employs a lot of these people. beyond employing and paying directly as well, we're supposed to pay what's called performance rights. So if there are fundamental things holding those industries back, and there's no conscious efforts or policies to be able to push it, it will be difficult for this particular sector to be able to pay these performance rights, which will go to the musicians. But beyond that, certain things as be able to provide equitable distribution for these talents, for instance, should be in place by now. I mean, it's long overdue. This is, 20 years ago conversation that should have been had. By now, Manifest should be able to be there, or Trig-Matic should be able to be there and receive payments and details regarding where these actual payments came from and how, and all of that. These are things that I'm sure that it can be undertaken. I'm glad that they're having a conversation with GAMRO so they can speed it up. What else? I mean, my words to government or anybody in charge of enabling the space will be that whilst we're looking at this, we need to be able, and that's why Dana Hamilton's conversations, for instance, is very important, because she's looking at industry in totality. If there is no, the Creative Arts Court, for instance, that should make it easy for us to be able to seek redress when our content is compromised, for instance. I mean, it becomes difficult. These things begin to take more from industry. So even if you put in all these policies, pay per play, all of those things, then it becomes difficult for the money to come in. But this is a very good thing. I like what Trig-Matic and Co is doing, for instance. I've had conversations with him back and forth. I like that particular part that they're having to have an engagement with GAMRO. I've always wished for that. But most importantly, those international reciprocal agreements should be in place, and the equitable distribution should be in place, so that all of us in industry, will be able to benefit from this.
Well, Stonebwoy, did your colleagues speak your mind, or you have anything else to add?
No, there's nothing else to add, my dear. It's just what it is. And right now we just have to, it's obvious that we all know where the problem is. So we just want to know, especially myself, what is the immediate step to take, the immediate realistic step to take. That's all. Just like you see people are protesting the George Floyd stuff.
Yeah.
If we have to step into the streets tomorrow, because the talking has been on for years. And yes, how can we be able to start to get these things going on? Because Mr. Sadiq also said that irrespective of all these things being put in place, there's a need for some of these laws to be implemented as well and enforced to have it going on. So I would also want to know when I should meet somebody somewhere to meet who somehow, and let's get them to get to work and have the masses also witness it, because in the end, it is the masses who patronize our works in the end. So they also need to know the sort of troubles that we are facing, so that they can be aware, of what is going on. Because in the end, we don't sing music for ourselves as musicians. We don't act these movies for just ourselves. We do it for the masses of the world. Especially the people of Ghana. So we need to also get them to understand what we are going through. And like I said, I'm waiting for action time. Who to go hold responsible on when, with timelines, what can be done, what should be done, or what is going on.
Well, are you hoping to lead that protest or that action, for instance?
I've also had meetings with who's supposed to be like the GAMRO people, So now I think since we're all speaking our minds and we're all on the same level, what we can decide. Like Trig-Matic said, there's a group that is saying Alliance for Change. We will see how we can all join hands. Even if I'm not part of the Alliance for Change, or I don't show face of it, I still bear the same thing, like the way my manifest is saying. He doesn't have to be a member of GAMRO to be able to have his things done well. I do not have to be a member of a certain body to match that match. I just want to know when we are going where, how, what is supposed to be done. Because individually, like Madam Hamilton said, individually we are all feeling the pain and we're all still trying our best to do something about it. But it should be a collective effort with our individual hands joined together to have this happening for us.
Is it any different in the film industry, Mr. David Onto? Manifest earlier, I wanted to know.
Sorry, come again.
I was asking you if it's any different in the film industry when it comes to royalties.
We have collective society, except that it's still not as good as we would wish it to be, because we have 207 professionals who work in the film industry. So to pay royalties to these people, it will not be easy. Except that, for a few of the players, the actors, the directors, and a few others, we have a collective society that pays out royalties. Every now and again, right? It's something that it can be improved. There's so much room for improvement. We need to still have a look at it. This lockdown period when they were showing films. Elsewhere, I would be earning something, from the screening of those films. These are films I made about 20, 25, 30 years ago that they were showing, and they were showing for free. So some of these things, when they are corrected, I think it will go a long way to help us in the industry.
So what you're saying is that even though these films that you made years and years ago are still being screened, you're not getting anything from it?
Zero. Nothing. They just show them for free. Many a time they show films, and at times they don't even call you to tell you that we are screening your film. You're walking somewhere and they will tell you, oh, they are showing this your film on screen. Oh, really? And that is all there is to it. You don't get anything for it.
Well, this is the situation that we're faced with as a country, and hopefully collectively we'll see how we're able to do. We know that there's a showbiz, Joy FM Showbiz roundtable in the offing, and these matters together with 3 Music, and I know that this matter will show prominently. Do we know when that is going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, the conversation centers around July. The whole idea behind it is that there's a lot of campaigns and going on, and it seems about everybody in the industry have a certain level of what's it called to it, So the musicians are agitating with the royalties and all of that. The event industry are also agitating on something. There's a certain disjoint regarding it. So the whole idea behind this is to be able to find key sectors. Ordinarily in a certain industry, you should have had like a music industry where you have key players in the industrial bodies, like what Teresa was speaking about, being part of an organization or a body that can set the agenda and pursue causes such as this, so that it doesn't actually even become a strain on the finances and the activities of the likes of Trigmatic and Manifest, for instance, so that they can be able to push this path. So the whole idea is to be able to get some of these people in there and begin to take, like Stonebwoy is saying, strict decisions on what's next, what needs to be done now, what can be done now among ourselves as industry. How can we begin to make all those compromises so that we can begin to, have some of the semblance of some of these things in place even before the government sets in. We know how government or the state, we know how decision making and all of these things takes some time. But we've been moving and we are moving, we are on the field and doing all of this work. How can all of us come together to begin to understand and pursue some of these causes immediately, even before the state begin to take some of these actions? So the whole idea behind the Showbiz Roundtable is to be able to have a semblance of this going on even before the state takes it.
Well, this is Beyond the Lockdown on the Joy News channel. Officially, like I said, is a night with the stars. And what's a night with the stars without music? It's a good time to take a quick break for a musical interlude.
Good evening. I've come into your homes this evening to ask for your continued patience and to thank you very much for your continued support for the 3 Music brand through this corona downtime. Music, especially Ghanaian music, has kept us company this year during this lockdown. Emphasis on various hit songs, enjoyment. Jay, Melissa, Ublidi, Enami Fili, Obiato, and Emilia Bobe's Famicom. We have also faced quite some beefs, a number of beefs, a couple of beefs. We had Shatta Wale and Sarkodie beef together. Shatta Wale and Reggie Rockstone beef together. Reggie Rockstone will be honored tonight for his good effort in keeping music and hip life alive in Ghana. Shatta Wale has almost battled everybody, and that is good for the industry. We've also had Sarkodie, Asem, and Mbo J also have beef issues. We are, however, pleased that this year's 3 music awards, nobody is going to congratulate anybody. We are all congratulating you in your homes. No guns will be pulled, and no beef will resurrect here. Fela and Sister Debbie are also at it, and we are.
Uncle David, did you recognize yourself?
No.
You didn't recognize yourself?
Well,
This is from
you were saying
Kukrantumi.
something on me, oh.
But isn't that the road to Kukrantumi? Oh, okay.
I'm not seeing it on my.
Okay, that's fine. But I'm seeing you, and I'm wondering. Interesting, and that's David Sadiq is also surprised. But Obi, tonight is a Sunday night. Will you give us the privilege of an address right here, live?
What? You want?
2 minutes, fellow Ghanaians.
No, I don't have, you know, my hair is full, so I can't do the fellow Ghanaians. When you try to do an impression of the president, you need to clear off all your hair, ideally, so that you represent him very well.
Please, all of you, are you not ready for fellow Ghanaians?
We are.
Manifest, Jay, Stoneboy, Teresa, David, are you all not ready for fellow Ghanaians from Obi? Dinah?
They are my audience?
Yes. Sadiq is also here.
So, I'm going to do a fellow Ghanaians, 30 seconds of fellow Ghanaians. And in fact, fellow Ghanaians, good evening. This is the second time I am coming into your homes. I have eased the tension. You guys can go out, but maintain social distancing. Please wash your hands and sanitize your hands. Wear your nose mask, most importantly, because what I have realized is that Ghanaians are too polite. They are too polite to the extent that when you are talking with somebody and there's saliva from the person's mouth, small saliva, sprinklers, touches your lip, you know it is there. The person too knows it's there, but you both pretend like there's nothing there. And that is why you have to wear your nose mask, because Ghanaians are too polite to clear that thing off. And if I don't know if you have realized it, it is true, right? Like when you are talking with somebody face to face, and then accidentally, not intentionally, like little droplets come from the person's mouth and lands on your mouth, you all pretend like there's nothing there, right? And you are just waiting for the person to turn, and then you do this.
No, but
you know?
Not me. Me, I'll wipe it up.
And not you wipe it, eh?
I beg, me there.
That is why Ghanaians need to wear our nose masks. That's one of the reasons. Because we are too polite to just wait for it to dry off. So please wear your nose mask. Sincerely. MF, are you okay with
it? Obi. Okay, I'll try. So after the presidential address, there must be a national anthem. We all agree, right? So Manifest, Stoneboy, Trig, Dinah, away we go. Let's sing national anthem.
Let's start with Dinah.
Since Joy FM is not paying me royalties,
but you are here. You can't do that.
So
I wouldn't do.
You would do.
Musicians want royalty.
Okay, then maybe you should
sing your royalties anthem.
Then sing your royalties anthem.
Royalties. No singing to royalties.
Pay our royalties now.
Do you have a royalties anthem you would sing so that we can wrap up?
Nobody can do the whole thing.
Okay, so before that, Teresa wants to come in finally.
Yeah, I mean, just to say a little thing towards the previous conversation that was held about the royalties. I mean, it saddens my heart to see that after 20 years of my being in the industry, we're still talking about royalties so passionately. And so that means that, I mean, this conversation has been going on for generations. And it's my hope that the young musicians who have taken up the mantle now, Trig and his friends, would really do their best to pursue this to its fruitful end, so that at least we can change the story for the next generation. Because we got involved in the industry when we started doing the Ghana Music Awards. This was about 20 years ago. As you know, this year is our 21st edition. And way back then, there was a heated conversation then about royalties and copyright. It started from, what was it? They had banderoles, they had hologram, and all sorts of things were being done to methods were being implemented to try to capture the piracy and copyright and royalty issues. And 20 years down the line, a new crop of musicians have come up, and the royalties and piracy issues are still almost like haven't moved an inch. So I'm really, I want to encourage the younger generation that is currently taking up the mantle to please stay focused, please stay on track, and keep pursuing it. At least in your generation, try and change it for the next one. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Well said. And that's why this roundtable, we all look forward to it. The last Saturday of July, we look forward to that roundtable, that showbiz roundtable with 3 Music and Joy FM. So we can, have a way forward when it comes to this issue that we've so passionately spoken about. Trig, you want to sing for us to end, or you want to say something else?
I actually just wanted to say that I'm very excited that we've all agreed that we are going to take a step. I'll use this opportunity to invite my brothers and sisters, the ones who are available. Next week, I think on Monday, which is just tomorrow, we are paying a visit to the GAMRO offices. Mrs. Teresa, I will humbly ask that one of these days you send us an invitation. We would come have a sit down. I'm happy that Sadiq also spoke about engaging all industry players. We will be happy. The Alliance for Change will be happy to have discussions with your likes. And let's not hoard information. Let's come together and make this happen. Monday, hopefully Monday, I'm sure. It's either Monday or Tuesday, I think. I would definitely reach out to my brothers in private, and together we will all march if we have to march, if we have to go in and just present our petition. The petition is not anything addressing personal issues, but some of these things we have spoken here tonight. And I'm very humbled to say that, yes, we will take a step, Auntie Teresa, to make sure that our generation and the generations after us will be able to benefit from their hard work.
Okay. I'll give a final word at this point. To you, Priye. I think Priye also wants to make a quick input.
No, as I said, the fight for proper structure and royalties, and it's going on across the continent. As much as we are dealing with it in our own individual countries, there are ways that we can still work together to make sure that we grow the industry at a faster pace. I think there needs to be more work and partnership between Nigerians, Ghanaians, Cameroonians, people from Ivory Coast, Senegal, just across West Africa, East Africa. We need to come together and really build our industry and make the right moves to make sure the next generation of artists and business people are able to see their returns.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Dinah, I don't know, Manifest is, boycotting the singing to end the show. So what do you, yes. quick one. It's a song or what?
No, I want to congratulate PD aka Free on his new deal, Aristocrat and Universal Music.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, congrats.
Congrats.
Thank you.
I had something to say, but I think we'll address it later when we
say it quickly.
By that meeting when Trigmatic is staying.
But it's a good time to say it too.
Hello?
You can say it, Stone, quickly.
Oh, okay. Mine goes to Mrs. Teresa. As I think along the line she mentioned, she is a president or the chair to events and something like that. Am I right? So that I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
And you also stress that we pray that we are able to go ahead and make a change with this royalty stuff. But I think one of the sides is that people don't really realize that it's not only the radio play and all these ones. The events also have a certain form of royalties to pay, and that you also help us to sound that to the event planners also, so that they get ready for that. So that once everything goes through, they also not give us hard times, because that will be another fight that I foresee. Because people can't understand why they have to pay artists and also pay some form of royalties to a collective body to distribute to artists again. So it's just a plea that I just want to mention here and now.
Okay.
Well taken. Well taken. But I must say that most event companies actually pay to Gambro.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah, we do pay to Gambro. Most event companies pay to Gambro. I mean, we do at Charterhouse. We do for every event we do, we pay to Gambro for copyrights, fees and all of that. But in other parts of the world, some of these fees are actually paid by the venue owners. Like the concert halls and the theaters, etc. It's actually built into the venue rental fee. So you hold an event at a venue, you actually cover as having paid copyright as well. So these are all some of the things that could come out of the conversation that the Alliance for Change wants to have with the Copyright Office. But please do rest assured that we do have a very good relationship with Camero, and we pay. Sometimes we even pay annual fees. We pay per event, and also, in fact, we are the ones who we are one of the most identifiable groups that pay, because even when we want to use any music for our commercials, our adverts, our promos, we always pay to Gambro.
Thank you.
And in fact, no brand will allow you to do any commercial activity without paying for the copyright for the material.
Well, that's it. But yes, Pinyi Jariana Nsuasa and David Donto is the Pinyi amongst us. So we'll give him the final word.
Talk about royalties for comedians.
Oh.
That's right. Yeah,
that's a good one.
That's a good one.
You realize that? Yes, mostly our revenues are generated from our YouTube channels. But we have people we have certain YouTube channels who have bigger followership. So they will just copy your content and put it on theirs, and it will be something like Pasco. Now nobody watches on
No, but can I jump in? That's when you report to YouTube and they pull it down.
Okay.
So I think it's very important that you police this thing. At least YouTube is a very safe place to police this yourself.
I think that
because when you see it,
actually think they are doing you a favor by putting you on their. So when you do that, it feels like you would have a bad faith with them of a sort.
No, I think. So what happens is when you see that, because you don't want them to close their page, you first send them a message, give them a couple of hours or a day or two, and if you don't hear from them, then go to YouTube.
Okay.
That I can tell you, it works like magic.
Okay. So I think
you want to give that person the courtesy to say, I know you're helping, but can you pull it down because I want to divert my views to my page.
Okay.
And
it doesn't just end on YouTube. It's somewhere Facebook, TikTokers, In fact, we have all our contents all over, but we are not getting revenue from it. And we do not even have an association.
That requires some global
so as
publishing.
comedians, where we would put like Trick is doing for musicians, we don't have that as comedians. So it's quite a tough field for us out there. So when people are patronizing us, should actually people don't even watch adverts on our YouTube channel. They just divert their attention anytime an ad is playing, and then they continue watching the movie. We are just begging Ghanaians that keep supporting us, keep watching our videos. The little income that is trickling in, let us make use of it during this pandemic, and then hopefully we meet larger theaters sometime.
Well, Uncle Dave, you have the final word. You have anything else to talk about, maybe post-COVID, how the industry should be working to recover? Then we can wrap up the show.
Okay. I think we all must understand that if you have a farm and you tend the farm and weed around it and prepare the farm well, that is when we can bear fruit for everybody to enjoy. And that is how the nature of our work is. I would want to plead with all of us to take good care of artists, because we are the people who make society move around. We are the people who create new ideas for society to live on. And so when you take good care of us, we always will be there for you and make your life happy. Please, let's observe all the safety protocols so that we can live as long as possible. As for this COVID-19, it is going to go away, don't worry. I give it 1 year to clear, and then we'll be back to normal life.
Thank you so much, David Dontor. He's the board chair of the National Film Authority. I was also joined by the CEO of Charterhouse, Theresa Ayode. Thank you so much. Priya Isukurari is the CEO of the Aristocrat Group in Nigeria. And thank you so much also for your time. And congratulations once again on your deal with Universal Music France. We are grateful for your time. We also had Stonebwoy. We are grateful. I'm still nominating with Kerry Hilson. I'll send you my video shortly for the competition. And then also my very own Trigmatic, thank you so much. Where we they go? We go catch. And then Manifest, you go here. You know they here, but you go here. Thank you so much for your time. Diana Hamilton, we're grateful for your time tonight. You still owe me a live music performance. You want to do it now? Okay.
No, you want to jump on YouTube.
Okay. I will. Obia Ponsa, thank you so much for your time tonight and the address. Thank you so much. And then also Abubakar Sadiq, he's the CEO of 3 Music, and they will be bringing us that Showbiz Forum in the last Saturday of July, and it's happening. Thank you so much for your time. And that's it for tonight's edition of Beyond the Lockdown. It's been a night with the stars. I've enjoyed it. Let the discussion continue. Look out for that big one on royalties as well. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good night. Bye.
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 It's a wrap for tonight. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Another exciting edition of Beyond the Lockdown on next week, Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Do make a date then. I am MF Apple.